Okay, geometers, we are putting this into our toolkit, all about special right triangles. You can pause the video and write down all these amazing formulas, as well as example 1. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set up the formula. This is a 45, 45, 90. So I'm going to use the yellow highlighted formula, which is H equals L times the square root of 2. Okay, so what's pretty simple here is that I already know, well, leg is L, as you know. I already know this leg, and I do know that this is isosceles, so I already know that y is also 3 times the square root of 2 over 2. I have half the problem done. Okay, so now I'm going to find the hypotenuse. I'm going to put this off to the side here. Okay, so the hypotenuse is x. And so I'm going to plug in, and I'm going to just write the L, which is 3 times the square root of 2 over 2. And now I'm going to bring down the rest of the formula, which is what students forget to do, or I don't know what happens, but weird things happen in this formula. So if you feel better, you can put that over 1. If it makes you feel safer. And then I can do these two radicals and something really special happens. So I'm going to review that before I go on with this problem. The square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is 2. Okay? I'm putting this in another box on the side. This is the same thing as the square root of 2 squared, where they're inverse operations. Okay? Meaning that this square undoes the square root. They're inverses, and so you get 2. Or you can think of it as the square root of 2 times itself is the square root of 4, which is 2. Okay, so there's 3 different ways that you can think about this. I'm just going to number them just in case you think I did a whole lot more work than I needed to. 1, 2, 3. So that's 3 ways to see it. So I'm going to go ahead and write 3 times, and now I'm doing the green part right here. Square root of 2 times 2 is 2, all over 2. Bring down the rest of the equation, and now you know, here you just got a sneak peek, that these two become a 1, and your final result is 3. Okay, so we just got the hypotenuse and the other leg. Okie doke, let's move on. Here's another example of the 45, 45, 90. So once I find A, I'll know the other A. Isn't that awesome? I know. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to just use the only formula we've got. I just did it wrong. For a 45, 45, 90. Okay? You got to remember which one comes with which is why I have these formulas at the very top of my toolkit, so I can always refer back to it. Okay, so is this, no, that's not the one I want. It's this one. No. Okay. Oh my God, like I said, I'm not a professional. How many times have I said that? Okay, so all I have to do is plug in 7 times the square root of 5, where my hypotenuse is. The leg is A. I'm bringing down the rest of that formula, which is the square root of 2. You're like, okay, I can solve for A. It's just one step, right? So I'm dividing both sides by the square root of 2. Now, there's going to be a little issue here. Oh no. See, these become a 1. We're good with that. But I have the square root of 2 in the denominator. And guess what? That is irrational. So what we do, it's called, and we've done this. You already know what's coming. just want to make sure that you see this word rational. Rationalize. I'm going to highlight this too. Hold on. Rationalize the denominator. Sorry, I just woke up. Okay, that's because my denominator is irrational and you can't divide by an irrational number. Okay, just try it. Try it someday. I mean, yeah, you could do it on the calculator, but anyway, here we go. So now I'm going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the square root of 2 because we saw right up here, I'm going to erase some of this stuff so it's easier to read here. We saw right here that when you multiply the square root of a number times itself, you get that number. So anyway, so in the denominator, hold on a second, we get 2. So we've just done our job here. We rationalized the denominator, hoo-yah. And in the numerator, I can multiply these two radicals together because they're both square roots. Okay, so I get 7 times the square root of 10. Yay! All right, so I'm going to mark my little triangle here. Let me get rid of all this stuff because I know you already can rewind, so we're good with that. All right, so this is, I forget already, 7 times the square root of 10 over 2. All right, here we go, moving forward. Now we're going to the 30, 60, 90 triangle. And I've already marked this up because I want you to see something very important. I'm going to zoom in. I know you're probably tired of me moving all around like this, but too bad. So this is my smallest angle, which is curve, okay, which is opposite the short leg, okay? Short angle, short leg, okay? And the hypotenuse is the longest side. So let me show you something about that. The hypotenuse is the longest side, and guess what? 90 degrees is the biggest angle, yeah? Do you see that? 30, 60, bang, 90, and that's my longest side, the hypotenuse, as we all know. So that's how you can remember which one's the short leg, because it's opposite 30 degrees. Okay, enough of pounding that into your head. So I have two formulas for this. I have the hypotenuse is twice the short leg, and the long leg is the short leg times the square root of 3. Now you can see how very popular the short leg is. You know, the short leg is in this equation and that equation. So that short leg is pretty important. So what we want to do is figure out, do we have the short leg? Because that would make our life really easy. But no, because you can see here's my 30-degree angle and the opposite side is my short leg. Okay, so we have to do a tiny bit of work. So I'm going to take my, hold on, let me get rid of these highlights. Sorry, just got rid of a bunch of my important information. Okay, so I'm going to use LL because we know that. And I'm going to put my long leg into the formula. My short leg is A. Actually, this is starting to look kind of easy because I'm seeing it's coming, it's coming. When I divide both sides by the square root of 3, I no longer have to worry about it because they both become 1. Okay, 1 with the universe. So I'm left with 4 on this side, A on that side. I'm done my short leg. Cool. 4. Yay. And now what's really cool now, let me put a line here, is that the hypotenuse, really, stop it. Hold on. Oh, I got back up there faster. Okay, so the hypotenuse is equal to twice the short leg. And so my hypotenuse is B, 2 times the short leg is 4, and oh my God, look at that, it's so awesome. That was simple, right? So what I want to write here is I want to actually give you this triangle in a very simplified form. So let's do this. Well, actually, you'll see, it's very exciting. The anticipation, isn't it killing you? All right, so we found that this was 4, this was 4 times the square root of 3, and this was 8. Look at that. Just like we said, here's the short leg. The long leg is 4 times the square root of 3, and the hypotenuse is twice the short leg. Right now I'm going to put that into another triangle. You're like, oh, come on, do we really have to do this again? Yep, you do. But can you draw straight lines without a ruler like I can now? Okay, so we're going to call our short leg A. And so this happens all the time. A times the square root of 3, and 2A. Okay, so that was like really sloppy. So hold on, just because I'm kind of obsessive here. Okay, so this is A times the square root of 3, and this is 2A. Okie doke? Yeah, that's always the relationship. So let's go to something a tiny bit trickier, not much. So now I've got my formulas already set up. I like to always have that at the top of my problems because sometimes I get confused. So now I'm going to look at this and I see that I have my hypotenuse. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my hypotenuse because do you know what? That's the only formula that has the hypotenuse in it, right? This does not have the hypotenuse. So I'm going to use this one. And this also means that I can only find my short leg first. But once I have my short leg, it's easy. Okay, hypotenuse. And my short leg is X. Okay, so now I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And I end up with X is equal to the square root of 6 over, sorry, this is, if I touch the screen, things go crazy. All right, so now I have my short leg. That was pretty simple, right? Do not say that this is equal to the square root of 3. No, don't do it. It's evil. Okay, so this is not right. And you can check that if you want on the calculator. Now, when does it equal the square root of 3? Well, if I had square root of 6 over the square root of 2, now I can say the square root of 3. I'm just pointing this out because this is a very, very common student error, and I like to point these things out. Okay. So I have my short leg, and so I'm going to write it up here because I really like doing that. It's very satisfying to actually put the answer onto the actual triangle. So, sorry, square root 6 over 2. Done. All right, so now I just have to find y. And you can see y is my longest side. So I'm going to use leg. Right, triangles have legs. Okay, so it's long leg equals a short leg. All right, so Sorry, like I said, I just woke up. All right, short leg, or did I? Gonna plug in the short leg. Now the rest of my formula. And like I said, if it makes you feel comforted, put the one in the denominator, just, for your own sake. Okay, in the numerator, I get the square root of 18. And the denominator, I get 2. So you may say to yourself, hey, self, I'm done. Oh, I forgot to substitute in L. Sorry, this is Y. Okay, you might think you're done, but I actually am looking a little bit harder. Okay, and I'm thinking to myself, here I am thinking, something funny is here. So I'm going to take the square root of 18 over 2. I'm going to just do something a little bit more with this. Well, the reason why is because I think there's a perfect square inside that 18 and there as a factor. And I'm right. 9. Yes, 9 times 2 is 18. Okay, so all I did is I broke down this 18. Let me just highlight that. I'm breaking down this 18 to this. All right, and now I can simplify that radical. Right here, this square root of 9 is 3. So now my fraction is simply and completely simplified. Okay, so Y is actually squared of, whoops, I did simplify it. Okay, 3 times the square root of 2 over 2. All right, if you need any more help, you know where to find me.